Are you sure the way you're having sex at your age isn't harming your body? This might be a difficult conversation, but if you're over 65 and still having sex, it's time we talk about a few things most people won't say out loud. Sex isn't bad just because you're older, but many older people don't know they're doing things that slowly hurt their health and even make their partner feel more distant. The truth is, physical closeness can be one of the most beautiful parts of aging, but only if it's approached with the right mindset and habits. Over time, our bodies change. Our hearts, our hormones, our needs, everything shifts. What worked in your 40s or 50s might not serve you in your 70s. And if you're still relying on outdated habits or silent assumptions, it can lead to more harm than connection. In this video, we're going to walk through 7 things that older adults should stop doing right now. When it comes to sex and intimacy, whether you're in a long-term relationship, dating again after many years, or simply trying to feel more connected to yourself and your partner, these insights can help you protect your body, strengthen emotional connection, and build confidence in ways that truly support this stage of life. Stick around until the end, because understanding these 7 habits might not only save you from physical discomfort or emotional confusion, they might also help you rediscover something joyful, something deeply human that many people give up on too soon. Let's get started. Number 1, neglecting cardiovascular health. One of the biggest mistakes older adults make when it comes to intimacy is thinking it's only about hormones, desire, or mood. But the truth is, at this stage of life, your heart health is at the center of everything, including your sexual health. And too often, it's ignored until there's already been a scare. I knew a man named Harold, 76, who still had plenty of interest in intimacy. He was mentally sharp, emotionally available, and shared a wonderful bond with his wife of nearly 50 years. But something had changed. He didn't feel as strong. He got winded more easily. And despite his desire, his body didn't respond the way it used to. He chalked it up to age. That's what many of us do. But the truth was, his circulation had been slowly declining for years, and no one caught it in time. Good circulation is essential for physical intimacy. It affects everything from blood flow to stamina to overall responsiveness. But when arteries start narrowing and the heart is working harder just to get blood through stiff vessels, everything suffers. And this doesn't just happen overnight. It's a slow build, often masked by excuses like, "I'm just tired today," or "maybe I'm not in the mood." Harold found out during a routine physical that his blood pressure had been high for quite some time. No symptoms, no warning signs, until intimacy became uncomfortable. His doctor explained that the very same system responsible for keeping his heart strong was the one affecting his energy, his arousal, and his ability to enjoy closeness. Once he began treating the issue, walking more, eating differently, staying consistent with his medication, he felt a shift. Not just physically, but emotionally too. He was more confident, more present, more himself. What many people don't realize is that issues with intimacy are often early warning signs of cardiovascular trouble. They're not something to be brushed off. They're not about aging. They're your body saying, "Pay attention." And this goes for women too. While the signs show up differently, the underlying issue is often the same: reduced circulation, hormonal shifts, and cardiovascular strain. That feeling of dryness, discomfort, or disinterest might not be emotional at all. It might be your heart asking for help. So if you haven't had your blood pressure checked lately, or if you've been avoiding that cholesterol panel, it's time. Not because something is wrong, but because something is valuable and worth protecting. Harold didn't make huge changes. He didn't go vegan or run marathons. He simply started walking after dinner, switched from processed snacks to fruit and nuts, and followed up with his doctor. 6 months later, his confidence was back, and so was his connection with his wife. If you're in your senior years and you're still sexually active, or even just hoping to be, your heart health isn't just about longevity. It's about quality of life, about staying strong enough to enjoy the things that make life rich, personal, and deeply fulfilling. The bedroom may seem like an emotional or hormonal space, but at this age it begins with the heart. Number 2, relying on over-the-counter supplements without guidance. Every week I hear from someone who's tried a new pill from the internet, a bottle from the pharmacy shelf, or something a friend swore worked wonders. Most of these supplements promise increased stamina, energy, or a return to the kind of vitality they had at 30. And I get it. When things slow down, when the body feels less responsive, the temptation to fix it with something quick and easy is strong. But what many don't realize is that these over-the-counter supplements, especially the ones aimed at sexual performance, can quietly do more harm than good. Take Roger, 69, who started taking a natural booster he found online. The label said it supported male vitality, and the packaging was full of impressive words. Words like testosterone support, nitric oxide, endurance blend. He took it every day for 3 months. At first, he said he felt something. Maybe a little extra energy, maybe a bit more drive. But then the headaches started. His blood pressure spiked. He felt anxious for no reason, had trouble sleeping, and one afternoon, he fainted while walking up the stairs. Roger had no idea that the supplement he trusted was interacting with his blood pressure medication. No one warned him because there was no one there to ask. The product wasn't regulated. The ingredients were a mix of herbs and chemical compounds that sounded natural, but acted like stimulants. The fine print said, consult your physician. But let's be honest, how many people do that when buying something at a gas station or ordering from an online ad? At this age, your body's more sensitive to imbalance. Your liver processes slower, your kidneys work harder. Your medications, if you take any, are carefully dosed to keep you in a safe range. Adding unregulated supplements on top of that, without knowing exactly what's in them or how they'll interact, can send everything out of alignment, especially those meant to boost sexual performance. Many contain ingredients that raise your blood pressure, thin your blood, or speed up your heart rate. That alone can put you at risk for stroke, especially if you already have high blood pressure or atrial fibrillation. Some contain hidden prescription drugs not listed on the label. Others include combinations of herbs that, when taken together, intensify side effects. Once he stopped taking it and got support from his doctor, everything began to change. His blood pressure stabilized, his anxiety faded, and with some medical guidance, he found healthier ways to support his vitality, like strength training, better sleep, and adjusting his nutrition. Nothing flashy, nothing risky, just smart, sustainable changes that worked with his body, not against it. If you're thinking about trying a supplement, or if you already have one in your cabinet right now, pause before popping another pill. Ask your doctor. Bring the bottle with you. Get clear on what's in it, how it might interact with your prescriptions, and whether it's even necessary. There's no shame in wanting to feel your best. But as we age, shortcuts become riskier. The body is wiser, yes, but it's also more delicate. And the goal isn't just to function. It's to thrive in a way that's safe, stable, and rooted in truth, not advertising. Roger didn't stop being intimate. He stopped gambling with his health. And that shift gave him more than performance. It gave him peace of mind. If you're still watching this video and finding these insights valuable, please comment number 2 below to let me know you're here. And if you haven't subscribed yet, I recommend you subscribe and turn on the bell so you don't miss any videos. Your support helps us continue creating good content to inform and inspire you. Now let's move forward. Number 3, avoiding honest conversations with your doctor. One of the quietest mistakes seniors make when it comes to intimacy is staying silent, not with their partners, but with their doctors. And I understand why. For many of us, especially those raised in a different time, talking about sex with a healthcare provider feels uncomfortable. It's private, maybe even a little embarrassing. We assume they'll brush it off. Or worse, we assume that nothing can be done. But avoiding the conversation often does more harm than the issue itself. I remember a woman named Carol, 73, who shared that she and her husband had grown distant over the years, not because they didn't care about each other, but because both of them were dealing with discomfort during intimacy, and neither wanted to admit it. Carol blamed menopause. Her husband, George, blamed age. They both assumed that a fading sex life was inevitable. But here's the part that stuck with me. Carol had been going to her doctor regularly, getting checkups, managing her arthritis, even staying on top of her cholesterol. And not once had she brought up the pain she felt during intimacy. Not once had George mentioned his trouble with arousal. It just didn't feel like the right topic to raise. But when Carol finally did bring it up, almost by accident, during a routine visit, her doctor wasn't surprised. She wasn't uncomfortable. In fact, she said it was one of the most common issues her older patients faced. And what's more, there were real solutions. Carol began using a non-hormonal treatment that helped with dryness. George got a referral to check his vascular health, which revealed a minor blockage that was restricting blood flow. Nothing dramatic, but enough to matter, and enough to fix. That one conversation led to changes that brought them back together. Not just physically, but emotionally too. Many older adults assume that sexual health is no longer part of their doctor's job to address. But it is, not only because it affects your quality of life, but because it can also signal deeper health concerns. Issues like erectile dysfunction, vaginal dryness, or a drop in libido can be early indicators of heart disease, diabetes, or hormone imbalances. Ignoring them doesn't make them disappear. It just delays help. If you're seeing a new doctor and feel awkward bringing it up, try starting simple. Can I ask you a question about intimacy? Or I've noticed something's changed, and I'm wondering if it's something we can talk about. That's all it takes. You're not the first to ask, and you won't be the last. Honest conversations with your doctor don't just improve physical function. They often lead to improvements in emotional well-being, relationship satisfaction, and even confidence in everyday life. Knowing you're not broken, knowing there's an explanation, that alone brings relief. There's also the issue of medications. Many prescriptions come with side effects that affect sexual function, blood pressure pills, antidepressants, even some over-the-counter medications. If you don't say anything, your doctor might never realize you're dealing with those side effects. A small adjustment in dosage or switching to a different medication might be all it takes to restore balance. George told me that after his checkup, what he valued most wasn't a prescription or a diagnosis. It was being seen. It was having someone listen without judgment. That moment made him feel human again. Not invisible, not too old, just a man trying to live fully. No matter your age, you deserve a healthcare provider who respects your desire to stay healthy in every sense, physically, emotionally, and intimately. And that starts with a conversation. Don't let embarrassment rob you of healing. Don't let fear keep you in silence. Your health story is yours to share, and doing so may just open the door to a stronger, more fulfilling chapter. Number 4, overlooking hydration and diet. It might sound too simple to matter, but what you eat and drink each day has a powerful effect on your energy, your circulation, and your hormones. 3 pillars that deeply shape your experience with intimacy. Many older adults overlook the role of hydration and diet, focusing instead on more obvious factors like age, medication, or mood. But when your body isn't nourished properly, everything slows down, including desire and function. Take Frank, 71. He wasn't in bad shape. He walked his dog every morning, cooked at home most nights, and even played golf twice a week. But he often felt tired, sluggish, and in his words, just not up for anything more than the basics. He blamed aging, thought maybe he was just drying up inside. But after working with a nutritionist at the urging of his daughter, he realized he had been severely underhydrated for years. He also wasn't getting nearly enough healthy fats, magnesium, or zinc in his diet. These are nutrients that directly affect testosterone production, nerve sensitivity, and blood flow. When your body is thirsty, even mildly, your blood volume drops. That means your heart has to work harder to circulate blood. Your skin becomes less elastic, your muscles feel tight, and your joints ache. All of this makes movement uncomfortable. Now apply that to intimacy, reduced sensitivity, slower arousal, less endurance, and more risk of cramping or strain. It doesn't sound romantic, but it's real. And for many seniors, it's completely avoidable. Then there's sugar and processed food. Frank had no idea that the frozen dinners he liked, or the store-bought sauces he used in cooking, were loaded with sodium and additives that spiked his blood pressure and caused water retention. He was eating what looked like normal food, but most of it had very little nutritional value. His body was full, but not fueled. Once he made small changes, adding leafy greens to his plate, replacing processed meat with grilled fish, and sipping water throughout the day instead of just with meals, his energy returned. Not overnight, but steadily. And with it, a sense of vitality he thought he'd lost forever. There's also the matter of blood sugar. If you eat a high-sugar breakfast, let's say toast with jam, a muffin, or even a sweetened yogurt, your glucose spikes. You feel good for a bit. Then your insulin kicks in, your blood sugar crashes, and you feel foggy, irritable, and exhausted. This cycle repeats throughout the day, making you feel older than you are. But it's not age, it's instability. And that instability affects your hormones, your stamina, and your ability to feel connected to your body. For women, the effects of diet and hydration can be even more sensitive. Estrogen, for instance, affects the elasticity of tissues and lubrication, and what you eat can either support or hinder that balance. Healthy fats like avocado, olive oil, and nuts help with hormone regulation. Hydrating fruits like watermelon or cucumbers can ease dryness. Even herbs like ginger and cinnamon can improve circulation. None of this requires a perfect diet. No one is asking you to give up every indulgence, but every small choice adds up. A glass of water in the morning, a handful of almonds instead of cookies, a colorful plate rather than a beige one. These changes don't just support heart health or digestion. They lay the foundation for energy, alertness, and confidence. Frank told me that after 2 months of better eating and steady hydration, he wasn't just more active in bed. He was more joyful in conversation, more willing to initiate closeness, and more open to new experiences. He stopped seeing intimacy as effort and started seeing it as an expression of wellness. It's not about becoming a health nut. It's about giving your body what it needs to do, what it was made to do, connect, engage, and feel alive. If you're still watching this video and finding these insights valuable, please comment number 4 below to let me know you're here. And if you haven't subscribed yet, I recommend you subscribe and turn on the bell so you don't miss any videos. Your support helps us continue creating good content to inform and inspire you. Now let's move forward. Number 5, dismissing emotional connection. In your 30s and 40s, physical attraction can carry a lot of weight. Passion often comes easily, driven by hormones, novelty, and a natural hunger for closeness. But as we age, something else takes center stage: emotional connection. And yet, it's one of the first things many older adults overlook when intimacy begins to fade. I once spoke with a couple, Howard and Marlene, married for 38 years. They still loved each other, still lived together peacefully, still shared meals, errands, family gatherings. But in the bedroom, there was a quiet distance. Not rejection, not conflict, just absence. When they tried to talk about it, Marlene would say she just wasn't in the mood. Howard would shrug it off as just how it is now. But deep down, both of them felt lonely. What they didn't realize was that the issue wasn't their bodies. It was the gap that had slowly grown between their hearts. With the busy rhythm of raising kids, managing health, and dealing with retirement stress, they'd stopped being emotionally curious about one another. The result was predictable without that sense of emotional safety and interest. Physical intimacy felt forced. It became something they avoided, even feared. The irony is, emotional connection is what makes intimacy easier, not harder as we age. It provides a sense of safety, of being seen, of feeling wanted for more than just performance. When you feel emotionally close to someone, you're more likely to relax, to communicate your needs, to be present rather than self-conscious. That's when real intimacy happens, not just physical contact, but something much deeper. For Howard and Marlene, the turning point came after a simple shift. They started sharing a short walk together every evening. No phones, no distractions, just 15 minutes of unfiltered conversation. They began asking each other questions they hadn't asked in years. What do you miss? What excites you now? What do you need more of? Slowly, that emotional thread pulled them closer again. And without focusing on fixing the bedroom, something changed there too. They touched more, laughed more. Intimacy returned not because they forced it, but because they fed the part of their relationship that had been starving. Many seniors think that sex has to look the way it did in youth, or it's not worth trying. But the truth is, what makes it meaningful now is different. It's not urgency or spark or proving something. It's trust, emotional safety, a sense of playfulness that comes from knowing each other deeply. This is especially important for people who are dating again in their later years. If you've lost a spouse, gone through a divorce, or are navigating a new relationship after decades of being out of practice, emotional connection can feel both thrilling and terrifying. You might find yourself holding back, protecting your heart. But the more you avoid being emotionally present, the more difficult it becomes to build physical closeness that feels good and real. If this resonates with you, take a moment to think. When was the last time you asked your partner what they were afraid of? What brings them joy lately? What part of their body feels most alive these days? These aren't just questions, they're doorways. When we step through them, we make space for more than physical connection. We create the safety and warmth that lets our guard down. Howard once told me something that stayed with me. For the first time in years, I didn't feel like I had to perform. I just felt wanted. And that changed everything. That's what emotional connection does. It doesn't replace the physical. It makes it easier, fuller, and more joyful. Sex in your 60s, 70s, and even 80s isn't about what works perfectly. It's about what feels real, mutual, and safe. And that starts with how well your hearts are touching long before your bodies do. Number 6, ignoring the role of sleep and recovery. When most people think about ways to improve intimacy in their senior years, they think about medication, communication, or maybe exercise. But one of the least talked about and most overlooked factors is sleep. And I don't mean just getting rest when you feel tired. I mean the deep, consistent, restorative kind of sleep that lets your body repair itself, regulate hormones, and stay alert and responsive during the day. You might not think your sleep schedule has anything to do with your sex life, but the connection runs deep. When you sleep poorly, whether it's waking up too often, going to bed too late, or getting up too early, your body doesn't just feel tired. It begins to misfire hormonally. Testosterone levels drop. Cortisol, your stress hormone, goes up. Your nervous system becomes more reactive. Your emotional regulation dips. All of this makes intimacy more difficult, not just physically, but emotionally too. A man named Lester, 75, had been married for over 40 years. He and his wife still shared a bed, but his snoring had gotten worse. He'd wake up 4 or 5 times a night, sometimes without realizing it. He felt tired during the day, found it hard to focus, and began to lose interest in intimacy. Not because he didn't care, but because his body was constantly in survival mode. When his doctor suggested a sleep study, Lester resisted. He thought it sounded unnecessary, even a little dramatic. But after some convincing, he agreed. The results showed moderate sleep apnea. His breathing paused dozens of times per hour, robbing his brain and body of oxygen. Once Lester started using a CPAP machine, everything changed. Not overnight, but within weeks, his energy returned. He woke up feeling alert. His memory improved. He began walking more, laughing more, initiating more connection with his wife. And yes, his sex life improved. Not because of a pill or a procedure, but because he finally gave his body the recovery it needed to function fully. Sleep affects so much more than we realize. It regulates blood pressure, supports heart health, balances mood, and restores hormone levels. For women, especially post-menopause, poor sleep can worsen hot flashes, irritability, and dryness. For men, interrupted sleep lowers testosterone, reduces libido, and affects endurance. If you've been waking up tired, or if your partner has mentioned you snore loudly or seem restless at night, it's worth paying attention. These aren't just minor annoyances. They're clues your body is sending. Some sleep issues come from habits, falling asleep in front of the TV, having caffeine too late in the day, or drinking alcohol at night to unwind. These habits may seem harmless, but they chip away at your sleep quality night after night. Over time, your energy dips, your hormones fluctuate, and your ability to feel close and responsive to your partner weakens. Others stem from deeper issues, chronic pain, anxiety, or medications that interfere with sleep cycles. If that's the case for you, don't settle for poor rest. Talk to your doctor. There may be simple changes you can make, whether it's adjusting your schedule, trying a sleep aid temporarily, or treating an underlying condition like restless leg syndrome or apnea. You deserve restful sleep, not just so you can be alert, but so you can be fully present in every area of your life, including your relationships. Rest sharpens your mind, lifts your mood, and helps you stay connected, not just with others, but with yourself. Lester said that after months of good sleep, he didn't just feel younger. He felt more alive. He felt capable again. He didn't dread intimacy or wonder whether his body would cooperate. He trusted himself, and that made all the difference. If you're still watching this video and finding these insights valuable, please comment number 6 below to let me know you're here. And if you haven't subscribed yet, I recommend you subscribe and turn on the bell so you don't miss any videos. Your support helps us continue creating good content to inform and inspire you. Now let's move forward. Number 7, expecting intimacy to look the same as it did. Decades ago, one of the quietest obstacles to connection later in life is the expectation that it should feel just like it did 30 or 40 years ago, that it should follow the same rhythm, come with the same urgency, or match the same physical expression. And when it doesn't, some people assume they've lost something essential, that they've failed, that maybe the best part of their life is already behind them. But that's simply not true. In fact, the intimacy that can happen after 65, when it's grounded in trust, tenderness, and presence, is often deeper than anything rushed or performance-driven in our youth. What changes is not your worth or your ability. What changes is the shape of connection. And if you don't allow that shape to evolve, you risk missing out on something truly meaningful. I once spoke with a woman named Evelyn, 68, who had recently started dating again after years of being widowed. She told me how awkward she felt during her first few experiences. Her body had changed. She wasn't as flexible. Her skin didn't respond the way it used to. She kept comparing herself to her younger self and feeling disappointed. But then something remarkable happened. One evening, she sat with her partner and simply said, "I'm not who I used to be, but I'm still me. I just need you to go slower." And in that moment, everything softened. They laughed. They held each other longer. They explored with patience. What they found wasn't a return to the past. It was a new version of closeness, and it was just as real. Too many people over 65 believe that if their intimacy doesn't involve penetration or doesn't follow a specific script, then it doesn't count. But the truth is, touch closeness, eye contact, conversation in bed, mutual exploration, these are all valid forms of connection. They carry emotion. They spark hormones. They awaken joy. When you allow your definition of intimacy to expand, so does your experience of love. And yes, it's okay to grieve the things that have changed, to miss the ease, the speed, the simplicity of what once came naturally. But don't confuse change with loss. What you have now is a chance to connect in ways that are conscious, unhurried, and emotionally rich. This season of life doesn't demand performance. It invites presence. This mindset shift can be especially important for men who are often told that their value lies in function. If things don't work exactly the same way, the shame kicks in fast. But intimacy isn't about being flawless. It's about being available with whatever your body can offer that day. That openness is what makes your partner feel safe, desired, and close to you. For couples who've been together for decades, reigniting connection might mean letting go of old expectations and creating new ones. Try holding each other without any agenda. Try talking about what feels good now, not what used to. Let your imagination guide you instead of memory alone. And if you're entering a new relationship later in life, be honest about where you are. There's beauty in saying, "This is where my body's at, but I still want connection." That kind of honesty is magnetic. It builds trust, and it clears space for both people to show up as they are. The most joyful moments I hear from older adults don't come from replicating youth. They come from discovering that love still lives in their skin, their voice, their hands. That closeness is still possible and maybe even more satisfying now because it's no longer about performance. It's about presence. When you stop chasing what intimacy used to be, you give yourself the freedom to experience what it can be now. And sometimes that version turns out to be more fulfilling than anything that came before. Final thoughts. As we wrap up this video, take a quiet moment to reflect on everything we've covered today. What stood out to you the most? Was it the reminder to stop comparing yourself to who you once were? Or the idea that nourishment, rest, and emotional presence matter just as much, if not more, than mechanics? If you're in your senior years and still experiencing desire, curiosity, and a longing for closeness, you're not alone. And you're certainly not broken. What you're feeling is natural, and honoring that part of yourself can open doors to connection, healing, and joy that many people assume are no longer possible. Intimacy after 65 doesn't need to be perfect. It needs to be real, honest, patient, and sometimes just a bit brave. Whether you're in a long-term relationship or exploring connection anew, remember this: the small choices you make each day, getting rest, drinking water, having that hard conversation, letting go of old expectations, these are the choices that keep intimacy alive. They keep you feeling like yourself. If even one of these 7 points resonated with you today, I hope you'll carry it with you. Not as pressure, but as permission. Permission to age with grace, to love with openness, and to believe that closeness still belongs to you. Thank you for joining us today. We'd love to hear from you. Leave a comment below and share one thing you learned today and how you plan to use it in your life. Your thoughts are important to us, so don't hesitate to share them. Reading your comments gives us great motivation and encouragement. If you enjoyed this video and found it helpful, please like, subscribe, and share. Your support helps us continue creating good content to inform and inspire you. Thanks for watching, and we look forward to seeing you in the next video.